Welcome to our quick and dirty guide to James Joyce's Ulysses. Ever wondered why this book is considered one of the most important works of the 20th century? Stick with us to find out why it's both a challenge and a masterpiece. James Joyce, born in 1882, was a genius who rewrote the rules of literature. Ulysses was his masterpiece, a bold modernist work that changed the way we read forever. Now, you might be thinking, what makes Ulysses so special? Well, it's not just a novel, it's a daring experiment in form and style, breaking conventions left and right. Set in a single day, June 16, 1904, Ulysses follows three characters through Dublin. It's a modern retelling of Homer's Odyssey, but with a twist. Think of it as the ultimate literary treasure hunt. The style? Oh boy, it's wild. Think stream of consciousness, where thoughts flow non-stop, jumping from one idea to another, without any warning. But why does it matter? Well, Ulysses revolutionized modern literature. It gave writers the freedom to play with language, structure, and even time itself. Today, Ulysses is still as challenging as ever, but it's also incredibly rewarding. It's a work that continues to inspire and puzzle readers and scholars alike. This was just a quick taste of what's ahead, folks. Stick around, because in the next segment, we're diving into how Ulysses is structured and how it plays with time and space. Trust me, it's going to be fun. All right, folks, we're now shifting gears and diving into the structure and form of Ulysses. This is where things get really interesting. In this segment, we'll break down the book's episodic structure, explore how the action unfolds across just one single day, and see how Joyce masterfully uses the framework of Homer's Odyssey to shape his narrative. Trust me, it's more than just a day in the life. There's a lot going on under the surface. First up, Ulysses is organized into 18 episodes. That's right, 18. Each one feels like its own mini-story, yet they all tie together to form a cohesive narrative. This structure isn't just random. Joyce deliberately chose this episodic form, much like how Homer's Odyssey unfolds in episodes across its epic journey. Now, here's the twist. While Homer's Odyssey takes place over a long, epic journey, Joyce's Ulysses happens within just a single day, June 16, 1916. Yes, it's all about one very eventful day in Dublin, which is as wild as it is fascinating. The episodes are a lens to see how the ordinary can be extraordinary when you pay attention to every detail. Joyce takes the ancient structure of the Odyssey, with its hero's journey, and bends it to his will. He uses modern urban life as his backdrop, making his version of the journey just as symbolic and epic as Homer's. Instead of ships, monsters, and gods, we get a city full of everyday people with all their joys, fears, and absurdities. The episodic structure mirrors the ancient Greek idea of a journey with obstacles, moments of reflection, and of course, transformation. But Joyce's innovation comes in how these episodes aren't bound by traditional narrative forms. They change in tone, perspective, and even genre, making each episode feel fresh and unpredictable. And here's the kicker. Joyce's Ulysses isn't just a modern retelling of the Odyssey, it's a bold reinvention. He takes this ancient structure and adapts it to the complexities of modern life, showing how mythic journeys can still resonate in the everyday struggles and triumphs of ordinary people. So, by the time we're through, we'll see how Joyce's structural choices, his creative use of episodes and time, give Ulysses its unique rhythm and pacing. It's a book that doesn't just tell a story, it plays with how we experience time itself. To sum it up, Joyce's Ulysses is a narrative puzzle, a book that plays with time, structure, and form in ways no one had ever done before. This book isn't just about the journey of a single man. It's about how we experience life in all its unpredictable, episodic glory. All right, now that we've talked about the structure of Ulysses, it's time to focus on the heart of the book, the characters that drive this literary juggernaut forward. Joyce's characters are anything but ordinary. They're complex, human, and strangely heroic. And who better to start with than Leopold Bloom? Leopold Bloom is, in many ways, the modern-day Odysseus. Just like the hero of Homer's epic, Bloom embarks on a journey through the city of Dublin, encountering obstacles and revelations. He's an everyman with a rich inner life, full of thoughts, desires, doubts, and observations. But Bloom isn't the only hero in this story. Enter Stephen Dedalus, the intellectual young man who challenges the status quo. Stephen sees the world differently. He's constantly questioning, searching for meaning, and dealing with his own deep inner conflicts. Stephen is like a modern-day philosopher. He's grappling with questions of identity, religion, and the role of the artist. Unlike Bloom, who's more concerned with the practicalities of life, Stephen's journey is about discovering who he is, where he belongs, and what it means to truly see the world. And then there's Molly Bloom, Leopold's wife. While Bloom's journey takes him through the streets of Dublin, Molly's takes us deep inside her mind. Her stream of consciousness monologue is one of the most famous parts of the book. It's frank, raw, and entirely unfiltered. Molly's monologue gives us a glimpse into her desires, memories, and thoughts. It's an emotional and physical exploration of her life, love, loss, and longing. Through her, Joyce flips the script, allowing us to hear a woman's voice in a way that was revolutionary at the time. These three characters, Bloom, Stephen, and Molly, are bound together by the city of Dublin, but also by the ways in which their lives intersect and influence each other. Though their journeys are different, their stories are ultimately about searching for meaning in the chaos of everyday life. In the end, these characters aren't just symbolic of their individual struggles. They represent the universal quest for understanding, self-discovery, and connection. Joyce's portrayal of them elevates the ordinary to the extraordinary. So, as we've seen, Bloom, Stephen, and Molly aren't just characters. They're symbols of the human condition, each struggling to make sense of their own existence. Their complex relationships and rich inner worlds give Ulysses its emotional depth and universality. Alright, now that we've explored the rich inner lives of our main characters, we're diving into something that will blow your mind: stream of consciousness. This is the technique Joyce uses to bring the inner workings of the mind onto the page. It's one of the cornerstones of Ulysses, and absolutely key to understanding its impact on modernist literature. So, what is stream of consciousness? Essentially, it's a narrative style that tries to capture the flow of thoughts and feelings inside a character's mind. Rather than just narrating actions or dialogue, Joyce lets the reader hear the character's unfiltered thoughts. No pauses, no editing, just the raw, chaotic stream of consciousness. Joyce's use of stream of consciousness in Ulysses is groundbreaking. He doesn't just give us direct thoughts. He blends the conscious with the unconscious, showing how memories, desires, and fleeting impressions influence how we think and experience the world. For example, one of the most famous stream of consciousness sequences happens when we enter Leopold Bloom's mind. His thoughts jump from topic to topic, sometimes from something trivial, like a breakfast, to something deep and philosophical, like the nature of life itself. It's a perfect reflection of how we think in real life, random, sometimes nonsensical, but full of depth. But Joyce didn't just do this for style. This technique is essential for the book's structure and form. By bringing us so deeply into the characters' minds, Joyce helps us experience the world from their perspective, creating a more immersive, intimate reading experience. Stream of consciousness in Ulysses isn't just a neat trick, it's revolutionary. It influenced generations of writers and became a hallmark of modernist literature, pushing the boundaries of how we tell stories. It's chaotic, it's unpredictable, and it's one of the reasons why Ulysses still feels fresh and modern even after all these years. And that's how stream of consciousness in Ulysses is not only an artistic choice, but a revolutionary tool that has shaped how literature explores the human mind. This technique is as much a part of the novel's identity as its characters, themes, or even its setting. It's a window into the depths of the human experience. Alright, let's dive into one of the most fascinating elements of Ulysses, Dublin itself. You might think of Dublin as just a setting, but in this novel, Dublin is as much a character as Leopold Bloom or Stephen Dedalus. It's crucial to understand how Joyce uses this city to shape the entire narrative. Joyce didn't just set the story in Dublin. He mapped it out meticulously, detailing the geography and landmarks in a way that allows us to trace every step the characters take. The streets of Dublin are like the chapters of a book. Each corner and alley has its own story to tell. But Joyce also used Dublin as a metaphor. The city mirrors the inner lives of the characters, full of complexity, contradictions, and a deep connection to history. Dublin's streets are like the winding paths of the mind, navigating between memory, identity, and self-discovery. The Dublin of Ulysses isn't just any city. It's a city on the edge of the modern world. Joyce wrote at a time when Ireland was struggling with its national identity, the remnants of British colonial rule, and the rise of a new cultural consciousness. So, when you're reading Ulysses, Think of Dublin not as just a backdrop, but as a living, breathing entity that shapes the story just as much as the characters do. It's a place where history and modernity clash, and where every street corner holds a deeper meaning. In a way, Joyce's Dublin encapsulates the universal search for identity. It's not just about one man's journey, it's about the journey of a city, a culture, and a people finding themselves in the wake of changing times. So, as we move on to explore the deeper themes of identity, memory, and self-discovery, remember, the city of Dublin isn't just a setting. It's the stage upon which the drama of Ulysses unfolds, and understanding it is key to understanding the novel itself. All right, we're diving into a very deep pool now. In this chapter, we'll explore the big themes of identity, memory, and self-discovery that really drive Joyce's Ulysses. These themes are at the heart of what makes the novel so powerful, and understanding them is key to grasping the emotional and philosophical weight of the story. Let's start with personal identity. Ulysses is all about the characters figuring out who they are. Take Leopold Bloom, for instance. He's a man full of contradictions, constantly questioning his own identity, his role as a husband, a father, a Jew in a Catholic society. Then we have Dedalus, who's wrestling with his own sense of identity. He's trying to break free from the legacy of his father and his culture. Both men are, in a sense, searching for meaning in a world that feels overwhelming and confusing. Memory plays a huge role in shaping these identities. For both Bloom and Dedalus, their memories, particularly of loved ones and past events, influence their actions and self-perceptions. Memory isn't just a tool for recalling the past, it's a lens through which they interpret the present. Now, let's talk about self-discovery. This is where the magic happens. Both Bloom and Dedalus go on their own journeys of self-discovery throughout the day. They confront their flaws, their regrets, and ultimately come to terms with who they are. For Bloom, it's about accepting himself as a man who has faced rejection, loss, and the burden of societal expectations. For Stephen, it's about embracing his intellectual independence and coming to terms with his complicated past. These themes, identity, memory, self-discovery, are deeply philosophical. They're not just personal struggles, but questions about what it means to be human. Joyce is asking, can we ever truly know ourselves? Can we trust our memories? Can we ever find peace with who we are? And that's what makes Ulysses so universal. It's not just about one man's journey, it's about all of us. Joyce taps into the universal experience of trying to make sense of who we are, where we come from, and where we're going. It's a search that never truly ends. So, with that in mind, let's wrap up this exploration of identity, memory, and self-discovery. These themes give Ulysses its emotional depth and philosophical weight. They make it more than just a novel, they make it a profound meditation on life itself. All right, we're moving on to a whole new chapter in Ulysses. Now that we've explored identity, memory, and self-discovery, let's dive into the deep waters of symbolism and religious allusions in Joyce's masterpiece. Trust me, this is where things get really interesting. Joyce doesn't just tell a story. He weaves in layers of religious references that give the novel a profound depth. The Catholic imagery is rich and complex, acting almost as a mirror to the characters' internal struggles. It's all about the tension between faith, doubt, and the everyday life of a modern city. Beyond the obvious Christian symbolism, Joyce also brings in some clever mythological references, particularly from Homer's Odyssey. But he doesn't stop there. Joyce draws connections to various myths, blending them with Dublin's modern world, turning a city street into an epic battleground. Take Leopold Bloom, for example. His journey through the city mirrors that of a modern-day Odysseus, while characters like Dedalus are almost like mythological figures lost in their own existential quest for meaning. And let's not forget about the symbolic weight of certain key events. From the moment Bloom encounters the dead, to his moments of introspection, everything in Ulysses carries a symbolic layer that connects back to religious and mythological themes. This is a huge part of what makes Ulysses so layered and profound. Joyce's use of religious and mythological symbols invites readers to dive deeper into the text, uncovering new meanings with every read. It's not just a narrative, it's a complex web of ideas and images. And that's a wrap on the symbolism and religious allusions in Ulysses. These elements add such rich layers of meaning to the novel, turning it into a fascinating puzzle. The next time you read it, you'll be seeing these connections everywhere. All right, let's move on to one of the most fascinating aspects of Ulysses, the linguistic innovation and wordplay. Joyce's use of language is mind-blowing, and it's a big part of what makes this book so unique. Joyce didn't just write in plain English. He twisted, turned, and played with words in ways that made us rethink the power of language. He brought puns, neologisms, and even multilingual references into everyday conversation. You'll find puns that stretch across multiple meanings, references to ancient languages, and even made up words that don't exist anywhere else. Joyce was a master of stretching the limits of language. This constant wordplay isn't just fun and games. It's part of how Joyce reflects the novel's core themes of ambiguity and subjectivity. Language in Ulysses mirrors the complexity of human experience. By playing with language, Joyce pulls us into his characters' minds, showing how the world isn't just something we see, but something we interpret through our own lens of perception and experience. And there we have it. Joyce's linguistic innovation isn't just for show. It's integral to Ulysses. It allows us to experience the world through a kaleidoscope of meanings and perspectives. All right, we've seen how Joyce revolutionized language and storytelling, but here comes the part where the world had a very different reaction. It wasn't all smooth sailing for Ulysses. In fact, it faced serious opposition. Let's dive into the controversial history behind the novel's publication and why it became a legal battleground. When Ulysses was first published, it was immediately banned in the United States and the United Kingdom. The reason? A mix of explicit content and the experimental nature of the writing. Publishers and authors alike had to fight tooth and nail to get the novel into readers' hands. In 1933, a breakthrough came in the form of a legal trial. Judge John M. Woolsey of the United States ruled that Ulysses was not obscene and should be published. This decision was a landmark moment, forever changing the landscape of literature. Once the book was officially cleared, the floodgates opened. Ulysses was now legally available, and its reception took off in a big way. Critics were divided, but many praised Joyce's daring innovations and the novel's complex treatment of human consciousness. The public's reaction was explosive. While some were scandalized, others hailed it as a masterpiece. It was no longer just a novel. It became a symbol of artistic freedom and the power of the written word. So, from courtroom battles to critical acclaim, Ulysses' journey to publication was anything but easy. But, in the end, this struggle only added to the novel's mystique and its place in literary history. And now, we've reached the final chapter of our journey through Ulysses. As we look at the legacy of this extraordinary work, let's step back and consider how it's viewed in the literary world today. Today, Ulysses is seen as a monumental achievement in modernist literature. Its influence reaches far beyond the early 20th century, touching writers, poets, and even filmmakers to this day. Its academic significance? Unquestionable. Ulysses is studied in university classrooms worldwide and is often the subject of thick, insightful volumes of literary criticism. But let's be real. While it's revered, it's not always the easiest read. For some, Ulysses can feel like a labyrinth of language and ideas. Its accessibility is still a topic of debate. Yet, despite its challenges, Ulysses remains as relevant today as ever. The themes of identity, memory, and the complexity of everyday life resonate across generations. If you want to dive even deeper into literary classics like this one, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're just getting started with exploring the wonders of literature, and trust us, you don't want to miss out. And hey, what do you think? Is Ulysses a masterpiece or a maddening puzzle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing what you think.